I love all my peoples, man. Told me he was gonna kill me. All these told me they was gonna kill me. Look what happened. I love my Sandra. I love the behind this camera. I love Yana. I love my nieces and nephews. All of them. I want everybody to know I love them. People named that I didn't name, trust me, I love you. I can't think right now, but I love y'all. This is my last time I'll be seeing y'all. Last time I'm talking to y'all, excuse my language, but I love y'all. I know I was wrong for what I did, but I didn't want to do it, but I had to do it. I'll be damned if one of us get buried again. I'm tired of us getting buried and nobody doing anything about it. My mama gone, my granny gone, everybody gone that I love. So I can't go. I can't go. I'd rather y'all see me like this, locked up, than y'all see me dead in the ground. And I know that's really what y'all, come on now. I know y'all don't want to see me dead. Come on now. Myself, but I know that's not what y'all want me to do. So let's be for real, y'all. I love y'all. All right.
Oh, man. So, yesterday, reports of a school shooting came out of Texas, and I did a little research, and I had to see what was going on. Now, once I started to see Hispanic and Black parents pouring in to save their children, I pretty much already knew the story was. Some beef had escalated to some shooting, and sure enough, that's what it was. Now, that's usually how it goes when it comes down to Black school shooting versus other races, but it's still unfortunate, nevertheless, should not be acceptable at all. It's wrong. It's wrong, and that's obvious, right? But whatever though. So you heard from the school shooter himself. That was Tracy Haynes. All right, Tracy Haynes, a 17-year-old kid who feels like he was placed in the position of him or me, and that comes from the death threats that he claims he received from the kids that he targeted in the shooting. And now, there's one thing about a scary man. A scary man is also a dangerous man. So I understand that situation. It's probably frightening to be in that situation, but still, I wish Tracy would have got some adults involved in that situation. You know, now, and I understand that that's pie. That'll be considered pie behavior to do that, but shooting kids in the school is criminal behavior, and now the young man has to face the consequences of his decisions. All right, so we got some footage of him turning himself in, and also a news report. Okay.
You good. He got you. You're good, man. Come on, Tracy. You gotta get going.
Stop. They're trying to get the media out of you. Fight right here.
That's my guy. I got him. Yeah, you good.
Stop. All right. You know, I don't fight.
You let him know at 5? Let him know. I got you.
I beat the blood over you right now, Father God.
Okay?
In the name of Jesus, I ask you to keep him safe. You keep him protected, Father, y'all. You keep your mouth closed.
Talk to you. They want to talk to your attorney. You understand?
Thank you,
When they send them little snitches in there to talk to you, don't talk to nobody.
Keep him safe, Lord. Father God, right now, in your name, I'm asking you to keep him safe. Keep him protected, Father God. Keep him with nothing of you, Father God. Nothing covers him. Nothing touches him, Father God. Keep his daddy safe, Father God. Keep his sister safe, Father God. Keep all these kids, Father God, safe.
My number right? Yeah. All right.
This morning.
All right, one thing. And I'm glad that we got to be able to see this side of it, of the kid speaking and showing that it's not all about hate. Sometimes they just defending themselves, right? But, of course, school shootings should not be happening. It didn't happen when I was growing up. So it's relatively a new thing. And the reason for that is because we're not getting better as a society, we're getting worse. And nobody seems to well, the leaders of this country want to sit up there and point fingers instead of doing their job properly and not, doing their job as leaders, putting systems in place to help prevent these kids from even having to be in a situation where they feel like they need to defend themselves. Like the school system, right? The public school system. From my experience, they don't care about them kids. They can prevent stuff like this if they were more structured and disciplined in how they ran things. They allow these kids to torment each other. The world allows these kids to torment each other. They consider that as acceptable. It's literally a part of the Matrix culture, right? Getting bullied is something you're supposed to go through, according to a lot of these so-called adults these days. And the schools, they talk and say, oh, it's no bullying and all this type of stuff allowed in this school. But just speaking from my own experience with my daughter and a situation where she had on the bus where an older child was messing with her, I'm telling the principal, because my daughter got off the bus pouring down crazy. This is when she was nothing more than, she was in pre-K. Not even kindergarten. She was in pre-K. And she got off the bus crying hard. First time I ever seen her cry like that. And I'm like, what's wrong? And she couldn't really talk, but she's pointing at kids on the bus. And so I already know somebody's messing with her. And when I reports this to the principal, she wants to pretend she's taking the situation serious, but at the same time, her words are not matching her actions, right? I did not get that situation resolved until I had to deal with those parents, the parents of those kids myself. And mind you, those kids stayed in the same neighborhood I was in. But they was not messing with my daughter around me. So I couldn't just come out and blame these kids or say these kids are doing something when I don't know. Because it's happening when my daughter is supposed to be under the supervision of this school. That school bus is also considered the supervision of that school. And so I'm telling them, like, yo, if you ain't got no cameras on that bus to see what's going on, then at least have some extra eyes, because that bus driver needs to focus on driving. They say, oh, we can't do that. You can't get no camera. You can't get you can't put nobody extra in there, no extra eyes in there. So you telling me, and mind you, I done seen stories on the news of kids getting raped in buses, fights, all type of stuff. Why is there no cameras on this bus? There's no excuse for there not to be cameras on the bus. And if you can't put cameras on, which they cheap and easy to set up, if you can't put the cameras on there, why not have an extra face in there? So they don't care, is what that tells me. There should be cameras in every classroom. These are people's kids. People have the right to monitor what's going on. And some schools got that, right? But all schools should have that, especially public schools, since they're funded by the well, I think Trump is about to give it back to the states or whatever, no longer by the government or whatever the case may be. But either way, public schools should have cameras all over the place. All schools should have cameras all over the place, but there should be no excuse for the public schools, since they're operated by so-called organized leadership. When I speak to the kids in the neighborhoods, well, during that year, right, when I was speaking to kids in their neighborhood, all they could conversate about is who's getting picked on, who's getting bullied. Seemed like that was the cool thing. It's one thing when they learning this in the home, but when you speak to them about public school and that's the only thing they could talk about, I think that's a reflection that their school is not running properly. There should be no room for them to be bullying no other children. There should be no time for them bullying no other children. In and out them classrooms. They should be monitored, camera everywhere, eyes everywhere. Don't nobody need to get bullied to learn how to become an adult or become a man or become a woman. That's dysfunctional thinking, and it's sad that most people in America think that way. That's psychological torture. Nothing positive comes out of these kids bullying each other. Yet so many of us think so. So many of us believe so. It don't make you tougher. It don't make you wiser. All it does is create division. Because what do we have here between black people, right? And white people, everybody, but I'm mainly focused on my people. So because we allow these kids to torment each other growing up, a lot of toxic parents are encouraging their children to do it. Because that was the case for that situation with my daughter, although I couldn't necessarily prove it. But when you know, right? The apple don't fall too far from the tree. We will sit up there and consider this behavior as normal, as something you just experience going through life. And I guess people feel like the benefit that comes from it is you learn not to be scary or whatever the case may be. Stand up for yourself. No, you can learn that. You can learn that taking boxing, taking some type of physical training. You can learn that taking karate and all that type of stuff. You don't supposed to. Adults shouldn't be encouraging children to learn that through getting bullied and stuff like that. It don't make no sense, man. All bullying does is cause division, create hate amongst each other. Just like now, right? We got most of the police officers, judges, lawyers, all those people with decent careers in the white power structure within this matrix, being successful within this matrix system, don't like their own people because of how their own people was treating each other when they was younger. And they ain't no better. They operate pretty much the same way. Some are not as bold as to go through as far as being all up in somebody's face and openly just disrespecting somebody. But we all have that same mentality towards each other. If you see somebody is or if you feel like somebody don't know something or this, that, and the third, we quick to try to screw each other over, low key, and consider that doing them a favor. We quick to talk about them behind their back and consider that doing them a favor, instead of, especially the ones that, if you bold enough to talk to the person in their face and do all this messed up stuff behind their back or whatever the case may be, why not be bold enough to have a real adult conversation or speak to them directly about the issue you see in them or the issue you believe you see in them? Just because they're not doing this, they're not doing that, you want to pick on them and all this type of stuff. This is why these kids are committing suicide, because of our social structure. It's all fucked up. It's all messed up. Even with the white kids, when they do their little mass shooting all their bullies and stuff like that, that's because the social structure is messed up. Black kids are a little bit more tolerant because the culture is much more expected within our culture. But this isn't our culture. I believe that originated through white culture, because they the ones operate they the ones operate like that. That is the foundation of everything they are. The only thing is they've weaponized it to benefit themselves. They utilize that type of that toxic social structure because they are so good at focusing it towards other races and screwing over other races with that. They actually run everything because of that. But that's why internally they are so messed up. They don't put it on the news and all that type of stuff like they put black folks' ways in the news. But they more messed up than the black people are. They just don't put it out there because they got control of all of it. And they not going to be able to fix their issue until they forced to deal with just themselves. Separation is a must. And how do we help these kids to stop killing each other? Separate from this matrix system, because that's what's fueling that behavior that's causing them to create enemies amongst each other. That's what's dividing them. They're not seeing no love growing up like they're supposed to. All they doing is seeing hate, people talking about each other and bullying each other, screwing each other over. They're seeing that. A lot of them seeing it in their own household from their own parents. Like growing up, I ain't necessarily have to deal with no aggressiveness or nothing like that in my house, in the household I grew up in. But nobody was trying to teach me anything. They treated me as if I was just another person in the streets. So if I was doing something that wasn't necessary, that I had to learn that social structure on my own, right? I had to learn it the hard way because nobody was talking to me about it. Even the females that I had been in relationships with, right? Didn't even talk to me about it. So Nobody around me would speak to me about anything. People, I sit up there and we be cool 1 minute, next thing you know, they start acting all distant. Not saying a thing. And because I was never really a follower, I didn't really care that I didn't care enough to ask, hey, why you all of a sudden turn cold on me? Or why is all why are these people talking behind my back or stuff like that? I didn't care enough to approach them with that because I knew I did nothing wrong. And I think that's what separated me from a lot of people around me, because I followed my own path, right? If I didn't do anything wrong, I didn't feel the need to entertain whatever they were doing. I was like, well, I mean, so I don't know what's going on with y'all, but I know I ain't do nothing wrong. So, I mean, if y'all want to keep it moving in another direction, I'm going to let you do that. While I focus on me. But most people don't have that mentality. Most people need that connection to others, right? Depending on how you grew up, your mindset behind it. A lot of people need that connection. And I understand. And it's not that I don't need that connection. It's just I never really needed it if I knew it was toxic. And so that's what separated me. I knew that if I didn't do anything wrong, I shouldn't necessarily have to worry about it. That was my whole mindset. And I think that's what shaped who I am today. And I love myself. I wouldn't change a thing because I gained a lot of knowledge to the point where some would say it could be a curse. You know what I'm saying? Some people would say sometimes knowledge is a curse because that left me alone majority of my life, right? I've seen love. I've felt love. But because of the social structures, it's so toxic, people don't know how to maintain that love. That's why so many relationships fail. We all so caught up on stuff that don't really matter, stuff that's encouraged through this matrix. And people don't lost sight of what it really means to be in a relationship and how to maintain a relationship. So you got a lot of people. Literally, I would sit up here and say, both male and female, majority of the male and females in society today, when they in a relationship, is for one, if not all, or two of these three reasons, right? Sex, money, or status. The foundation behind any reason of them being in a relationship is between one of those three. Either they thirsty for some sex, dude or female. They want to look good to others. Like a dude might get with a female just so he can be like, yo, I got this chick by my side. It's considered a good, when it comes to the business world, it's considered a good look that they got a female, so they want a certain type of female to make them look a certain way. You know, a lot of the times the relationship is about sex because they put on masks just to appeal to the sexual aspect of that person's what's the name? Because it's like I ain't got to get too deep into the sex thing. You know that majority of these people, and I'm not saying that sex is a bad thing. I'm saying that you got to have control of your sexual urges. You got to be disciplined. Sex is not something you should just be out here having with any and everybody, right? For me personally, if I had to learn, because at first it was all about getting off, right? It was all about getting off that feeling. And yeah, the person I was connected to, I cared about that too. But in my younger years, it was mainly just about having sex. I didn't really know what love was. But as I got older, I realized, and I always had kind of a traditional mindset towards relationships. So I was never one to feel like I needed more than one female. I needed to sleep around with this, that, and the third. If I got into a relationship, I was in a relationship. I was loyal to that relationship. And I was focused on that relationship because to me, it was all about building a legacy and being with the female, the mother of my child. But of course, I was ignorant to how the world really operates. You know what I'm saying? I was looking at all those movies that was kind of misguided, even though they was guiding us in the way things should be at those times. Now you got movies that just mislead you. You can't really look at the movies and learn nothing. Everything misleading nowadays. But back then they had some decent cartoons and movies and all that stuff that was really shaping and showing you the right way to do things if you cared enough to pay attention and pick up on those jewels, those gems. But I had to learn that my mindset towards those relationships was not the same mindset most in this world today has. Most are just focused on sex, money, or status. It's all about looking good in the public, having sex, or getting money. It all ties down. And when you see these relationships break up, they're breaking up behind one of those issues because that's all they care about. And none of those things are solid foundations for a relationship. And that's why they're doomed to fail. The only solid foundation for a relationship, the only reason to be having a union is to build something bigger than yourself, to build something that takes two. And what takes two? Creating a family takes two. Really, it takes a whole community, but you got to start somewhere. Foundation of a good, healthy relationship takes a man and a woman. The good foundation of a healthy community takes a healthy family. Two healthy families, and so forth. It all adds up. Healthy community builds a healthy city. Healthy city builds a healthy state. Healthy state builds a healthy country, and so forth. That's how it goes. But we lost sight of that between all the chaos. And what caused all this chaos is unhealthy unhealthy unities between different races. So I would go so far as to say white people and black people coming together, making out these different races, they different culture mixing and all this stuff created a lot of division because hate fueled off of that. Then they start warring, ain't necessarily war because of with each other, but a lot of that stuff played a part in the tensions that was developing and all this type of stuff. Not to mention the tensions they already had amongst each other where they was fighting each other. All that stuff came, but it became even more complicated with those mixes. And so separation, as I say in just about every video, we gotta separate into smaller communities so that we can regain control and reorganize. Because if you got these kids, if you take these kids out of these public schools and the so-called adults or successful people that don't want to claim leadership, they sit up here and lead a neighborhood instead and go become workhorses for another race instead of building up their own race. If they stay and buy land, build businesses on their land, build their own school on their land, grow some food, so reclaim your independence. See, we got a lot of people that just want to take the easy route. And that's where I say you disqualified yourself from being a man. You disqualified yourself from being a woman, because for me, that being a man and a woman is a community title that is earned. You gain that community title for being about your community. If you abandon your community, you is not that. You can't be that and somebody's slave at the same time. You can't be that and somebody's you can't be that and somebody's employee at the same time. In today's world, what they call an employee in this matrix, you just building up somebody else's company, and that's not what it should be about. If you have your own community and this black person started this business hiring black people, that black person working for that company, for that black owned business, is not considered an employee. He's a member of something greater than himself, helping to maintain and build the community. He's doing his part to help build, because not everybody gonna have that motivation. And that's why I say stop attacking betas. Not everybody's gonna have that motivation to be sitting up here working hard to build their own company and stuff like that. That's not for everybody. But the ones that are doing that, you're the leaders. You supposed to employ the people that are not and put them to work. That's what you're supposed to do. You abandoning your leadership role. You have that mentality to put that hard work in. Not everybody needs to do that. Not everybody is supposed to be doing that. God makes everybody different for a reason. But if you don't understand that at that level, that lets me know that you abandon your community because you're not thinking as a community. So yeah, that makes you a sellout. And sitting up there only focusing on the ones like you, you abandon half of your community because you feel like there's no hope for them. No, they just need direction. They just need guidance. They need leadership. If these kids are in a school ran by black people, and they see that the teachers in these schools, are not allowing other kids to torment each other. Like, I was in school, man, and I got very few memories of school, right? I don't remember learning anything. I don't remember no teacher ever. I don't remember a conversation with not one teacher throughout my entire time going to public school. I don't remember learning much of anything. All I remember doing is seeing people get bullied, people fighting, nothing really positive, while I just stayed to myself the whole time. If these teachers was intervening, if they see that these teachers are not allowing other kids to bully them, or if those teachers are right there. Oh, let me go back. I seen it. The only male teacher that I had throughout my entire time in public school, the only black male teacher that I had, I seen him. What's that word? He literally instigated a fight between two boys and then walked them to the principal's office and suspended them. He was like, oh, you ain't gonna hit that. You ain't gonna hit him. You ain't gonna do nothing. You ain't gonna do it. That's what he telling these kids while they in there arguing. You ain't gonna do nothing. Go on, leave it alone, man. You ain't gonna do nothing. You ain't gonna do nothing. And then the boy swings on the boy. Now he walking them both to the principal's office to suspend them, as if he ain't take no part in what just happened. Cause they was looking at him. He instigated it. They was looking at him. They was like, oh, you think I won't? He was like, okay, and swung on the boy. Kids raising kids, even in the professional settings. That shouldn't be tolerated, man. We got to do better. If we are raising these kids in a properly structured environment like we supposed to be, they wouldn't have no time to be bullying each other and picking on each other. If we had a proper structure in place, they'd be too busy focusing on doing what they got to do than to be sitting up there worrying about the clothes somebody got on, the hair somebody got, the shoes somebody got, how much money somebody got, what kind of car somebody got. They wouldn't have no time to be worrying about all this stuff if we had them properly structured in these schools. Because, as I've said before, I didn't see no proper structure until I got in Job Corps when I was around 19, 20 years old. But a lot of other kids don't see it until they go to jail. So why are these schools not teaching them that? Because they don't care. These public schools are not designed to teach these kids to be adults. So you can't blame these kids for what they got going on. Blame the adults for not doing their job for these children. You can't sit up here and tell me you care about your child and you don't care about the rest, because they got to grow up in on the same planet, dude. You can't care about one and not care about all. Because caring about all means that you recognize that if you encourage the love of all children for each other, you encouraging them all to love each other as they grow and face this world together, because they can't do it alone. They're not supposed to do it alone. We social creatures for a reason. There should be no division, but there is. And we got to work on restructuring that. And the only way to do that is to go back to the point where it started breaking down. And that's back into the small communities, the smaller settings, so these kids will have the attention that they need. From the people that really care about them. And of course, that ain't going to be getting that structure. It's going to take time. Hell, getting these communities put together is going to take time. But if you in a position to go buy some land and start, and you call yourself successful and caring about your community, why are you not doing it? Because even if you still got that matrix mentality and you want to start your own community with a bunch of people that got that same matrix mentality, that's still progress. That's still a step in the right direction. And see, in these smaller settings, you're going to be able to have more focus. Every adult within that community need to have a meeting every day. Need to come together every day. Your livelihood should be dependent on nothing but the people in your community. So, of course, you gonna meet up with the members of your community every day and decide, hey, let's do this, let's do that. We need to do this, we need to do that. There won't be no outside influences to corrupt you away from your duty to your people. Because you won't need the outside. You growing your own food. You putting your own roof over your head. You building your own businesses within your community, and you using your unity to generate income for your community. However you choose to do that. If there's a will, there's a way. And we got so many people in society claiming to be hard workers, but they take the easy route. It's easy for them to go work for the white man. I mean, they grew up getting with their parents teaching them how to be successful in academically, so that they can become a slave for somebody. So that was easy for them. For others who didn't grow in that type of household, it wasn't that easy, because I didn't grow up in that type of household. It wasn't nobody teaching me nothing. And that's not me trying to shame anybody in my family, because they had their reasons, man. They had their problems. They had to work through as well. But see, I'm glad I experienced that type of stuff, because I understand what it's like to be in the shoes of the people that don't have what some others take for granted. They don't understand that you might have grew up in this abusive household, but because your parent was on your ass about school and making sure you they may have messed your head up, but they still prepared you to be a successful slave. And so when you become a successful slave, and then you start looking down on others because they wasn't able to walk there. That's why so many judges out here that's so disconnected from their community, don't understand the problems of their community. All you've been doing is going to school all your life and working for these white people. That's all you know. You was staying away from your community. So how you gonna judge them? Yeah, you had your little experiences and stuff like that, but honestly, the social structure in the black community is no different than the social structure in the white community. The white people just hide it better because they got control of what the world sees. But we adapted their social structure. That's what's messing us up. Being around broken people and viewing broken people as our leaders. We gotta separate. They need to work their own issues out. Because the bad ones in the white community are weaponizing black people against the good ones. So the good ones can't really get their stuff to get their people together because they got so many other people in they stuff. So I understand why Trump would sit up there and bring back segregation. But yeah, there's more I want to say, but I need to cut this video short. So just think about it, people. Just think about it. We gotta, I don't like talking about the same thing over and over again unless it's necessary. Because I'm not in a position, trust me, if I was in a position to practice what I'm preaching, I would be doing it. Please believe. But this is my way of trying to manifest it, to get on here and talk about, hey, this is what needs to be done. I heard Charleston White on another platform talking about we gotta let a few generations die off in order for things to fix each other, or we can only fix it putting everybody back in slavery. I mean, Charleston is extreme in his thinking. I don't necessarily want to judge the method to his madness. But come on, to be straightforward, we just need to separate and start our own communities. All these people with money that are rather, you see, it's crazy. Charleston White, and I heard him, man. He said he was active in his community, right? But I think his spiritual foundation is weak, man, because I feel like at some point he felt like God wasn't helping him get where he is today. He felt like he did it on his own. And so his spiritual foundation is weak. And I believe that is why he behaves like he does. And so I'm not going to really judge the method to his madness, like I said. But had he had that strong spiritual foundation, all that money he getting, he would be starting his own community right now. Bringing some of these kids up out of these bad environments and creating a more structured, positive environment for them to grow up in. Because that's what it's going to take. You ain't got to wait for them to die off. You have them in a structured, disciplined environment with rules that they got to follow or their ass get kicked out. They're going to get right. They won't be able to say that somebody didn't try. They won't be able to say that nobody cared.